Hi folks, John here, Microaces Workshop, welcome. And here's the next episode of the Sopwith Camel build. In this episode, we shall be going through the struts. These are the cabane struts, the ones that sit on the fuselage up to the top wing. And also, hopefully, we'll also get to putting the a little bit of the rigging on to those struts too. So, without further ado, let's crack on. For the sake of brevity, I've changed the process a little bit, not from the manual itself, but for the video, to try and speed things up a little, so I can get the information across to you a little quicker. I've already cut out my parts that are needed, that I can do. So we've got the two struts themselves, the two assemblies, which come from the plastics part sprue, P12 and P13, and I've also cut out little bits of carbon fibre that we're going to stick to them. The dimensions are given in the manual anyway, so and cutting them is just a process of slicing them with a sharp scalpel or hobby knife. So let's move our model as it stands out the way for a second, and we'll put the manual to one side because you've got a copy of that, you don't need to see it, and we can start the process of adding our little strips of carbon fibre to the printed inside of our parts. Now the material that we print onto has a not opacity, a translucency, so that the print on one side shows through to the other. But it's pretty obvious which is the printed side and the unprinted side. If you are having trouble, the unprinted side is the one that is very shiny as well. It's got a sort of a glossy finish. So be able to work that out, hopefully. So let's get going. The longer of the two pieces of carbon fibre are only longer by about 2 millimeters. They actually sit on the rear strut, the rearmost strut, like so, and we'll get gluing that right away. So what I'm also going to do is, whilst I'm gluing them, or after I've done the first one, I'll pause the video and come back when I've finished, and we'll move on to the next step. So I was going to apply the glue straight to here, but in fact what I'm going to do is try and get that glue onto the carbon fibre strip instead. So here it goes. As you'll notice, I'm holding the tube in a slightly upright position. This allows a little bit more control. Gravity doesn't have such an effect on the glue inside. Let's pop that onto the rear strut. Now I have got a little bit of glue on my fingers, which is not unusual when dealing with such small parts, but I can just rub that away, as you've probably seen me do in previous videos. Rub that off, so I don't get it onto any other surfaces. So so there we go, and I'll do that again. I'll show you that again. So I'm holding my little piece of carbon fibre between my finger and thumb, and then just slowly running a bead of the U-glue glue. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of stringy stuff. You just remove that. And that goes onto that rear strut there. Now, one thing to try and avoid when you are applying these is covering over the rigging holes. Just make sure that the carbon fibre is clear of those, and we shall be laughing. Right, I'll pause the video, and when I come back, hopefully we'll have the other bits of carbon fibre on. So there we go. We've now got two of our cabane struts with the carbon fibre attached. The next step is to sticker those sides to just hide the carbon fibre in place. So to do that, we need our sticker pack, and we have S30 through to S33. And in the manual, it tells you which sticker goes on which surface. So if I use this one first, which is the P13, I think, I'll need S30 and S32 for this. So let's just pick out S30. Just using the scalpel to start the process. There we go. I'm just using a finger to delicately take that off. Now there should be some little cutouts in the sticker itself that correspond to the rigging holes. If the sticker comes away, there's no real urgency to get that picked out immediately, and in fact it probably will come out once you put the rigging tool through the hole. So you can actually leave it in place as it stands. So let's just pop this on. Now I would normally use my tweezers, but I seem to have mislaid them. We'll go and get a pair in a sec. But what I want to do is just make sure it's all goes down correctly. Hides the carbon fibre, but doesn't show any of the white other side of the sticker through on the other side. So it needs a little bit of concentration here. Good light and non-failing eyesight seems to be better. So a little bit of white stuff showing through there. So I'm just going to manipulate it slightly. There we go, and then using the back edge of my knife, I'm just going to press the sticker down each side of the carbon fibre that sits beneath. So that should pull it in from the outside as well, so any white showing should hopefully disappear. See, there we go. That looks pretty good to me. Okay. Right, well, I'll carry on sticking and come back to you once it's all done. So now we have our stickers applied to our struts. Now, a slightly unusual thing or interesting part to this build is that the kit itself has a little 3D printed fuel pump prop, and that needs to sit on this particular strut here, and you can see this protrusion on the strut itself, and this actually forms the fuel pump itself. Now it simply folds round on itself. It should be scored slightly so that you get a little bit of a surface here with a hole in it, and into that hole we actually attach a little piece of the wire that actually comes in the kit in the form of the control rod. But the control rod is nice and long, much longer than we actually require, so we can nip off part of the end of the wire itself. So we need about 6 millimeters of it. So just going to measure. That's about 6 there. Now, if anyone knows about cutting wire, you know that when it's cut, it goes everywhere. Actually, what I'm going to do, just to be proper about it, is I'm going to use a little black marker just to mark my 6 mil. There's my 6 mil. Now, put that through pliers, and then obviously hold on to this end so it doesn't go flying off, eaten by the carpet monster. So let's put those back. So now what I need to do to assemble this is just to fold and glue that, and then pop the little piece of wire that I have through the hole that's provided, and glue that into place too, and let that set. And then at a point later in the build, we can add the little 3D printed prop. And the idea is that it'll spin as well in the breeze as the prop rotates and the aircraft is flying through the air. A nice sort of little a little detailed touch to the model, even at its diminutive 1/24th scale. So anyway, right, let's get the glue out. So I'm going to just glue one side of this very gently, as little glue as possible, but enough to stick. So some over the hole there, and we're going to pop our little shaft. So let's just fold that over so it touches the other side of the strut and deposits some glue on there. And then I'm going to introduce, if I can pick it up, stuck under my fingernail there. There we go. And introduce that in there. So I'm just going to set that aside just to let the glue dry for a second, and we can just bring it together as a contact. We're using its contact adhesive properties. So that's now had time to dry off. So let's just bring it together. Just fold it down onto the other side of the strut, and our little shaft there. It's sticking out nicely. Just get it at the right angle, which is obviously perpendicular to the pump upright, and then we can let that set properly. Right, now the next step is to actually attach these struts to the fuselage itself, and they attach at 2 points, right at the front by the nose here on this little surface that we've left open so far, and then there are 2 little holes in the fuselage that the rear struts go through. And how we attach them is pretty simple. What we've got to do is bend the strut at the end, the one with the sort of semicircular attachment point, and the other has a much smaller semicircular attachment point. Just bend those inwards like so. And same on the other side. That's going on that side. And this will be going on the other. Just bend those in. So, and then it's just a matter of gluing them in position, obviously. Let me just show you the position. Maneuver the aircraft around. So you can see that front part butts right up against the front foam former. In fact, yeah, that's exactly where it goes. Just checking my assembly guide. And then the rear one goes, semicircle should pop in to there. I'm not going to get it out now, am I? There we go. So it's quite a good pop. So it's just, what that actually means from a gluing point of view is as it pops in, you need to attach it before the glue dries. Otherwise, it makes it difficult. Whereas at the front, you can actually let you can use more sort of contact adhesive type quality. So I'm going to pop the rear one in like so, and then I'm going to put the front pad down. Like so, and then just remove it and let that dry before bringing it to bear. Let's do that on the other side too. So, little glue. So, back down. There we go. And I've just been reminded by at the manual that I've got these round the wrong way. Oh dear, Mr. Porter. So let's remove them and start again. So I've actually got glue on this forward strut on the wrong side. I just want to remove what we've got there so far. The reason I know I've got them the wrong way around is because of the way that the upper wing assembles and where these struts at the top sit. And we have a graphic on this side of the strut, which sits on the inside of the former on the top wing on the inside. If it'd been round that way, then we just get this blank side showing. So we don't want that. So anyway, let's bend our struts the other way. So these, so that's going that side. There we go. I haven't let this set properly, so I keep knocking my little shaft there, my little prop shaft. My mind went blank for a second. You can see the cogs turning. Let's bend these the other way. Go. Right. So let's try that again. Back to one side. Get some glue on there. And what I'm going to do now is actually apply a little glue on there, thin amount. And then I'm actually going to pop some glue. In fact, there is some glue there already because of my little mistake. You'll notice there's a little cutout in the fuselage here as well, and that's basically where you want to bring your strut to when gluing it in place. So it just sits in that little notch, like so. There we go. Go. Right. Now, before we move on, we need to let that thoroughly set so that it doesn't shift around whilst we're doing our next stages. So I'm just going to pause that, let it dry, and then we'll come back and take care of the rest of the bits and pieces that we've got to do. So hopefully our struts are secure now. The next stage, I'm going to switch that off, and we've actually moved to stage 8, which is rigging fairing, or, as I like to call it, attaching the pip. Let's just grab the pip. This is a very, very small 3D printed part with a couple of holes in, and this is the little pip that sits in the rigging at the in front of the cockpit. So what we need here, according to the instructions, is we need some rigging wire. So here's my trusty rigging wire, which I have pre-stretched before the build. It's a little bit curly because I wrapped it up again neatly, so it wasn't getting tangled in anything. So as per the instructions, we need a minimum 50mm length here. So let's see how much we've got. I might as well take a little bit more. So I've got around about 12 or 120 there. So I'm just going to chop that. So I obviously need a new blade. There we go. To one side again. And I have my rigging tool. So, first thing we need to do is get this through one of the rigging holes on the front strut. So let's just pop our rigging tool through, like so. And before we go crazy, I'm just going to tie a little knot in one end, just a simple knot. It's going to stop this going all the way through. There we go, and I'm just going to trim the excess off that knot as well. Go. So now pop that through rigging tool. There we go. Just pull that through the strut. So now I need to measure, according to the instructions, 50 mil and mark it. So it's just so 50 is around about there. Give myself a couple of millimeters to play with there, but go. Now this now goes through the rigging pit, so just going to put that through there. Now, of course, you can actually paint or decorate the pit. You can use Sharpie markers, that sort of thing, or felt tips to colour it. Or you paint it silver, or anyway, let's get this through. Or you can paint it once it's on. So then we've got our pip on the rigging. And now we just need to pull our pip through, our rigging through to the other side. Just making sure my mark is still on there. Yep, it should be. It was a permanent marker I used. So goes through the tool. There's a little bit of glue in the way there, but am I doing it the right side? Let's just have a quick look. No, I need to go through from the other side. So let's bring that out again. Go through the hole from the inside out, and pull the rigging from the outside in. Through the hole. There we go. And then I need to find my mark, which I believe is there. Just check that. Yeah. Go. Just going to pull that a little bit tighter. Just going to tie a knot at that point very delicately. I could be using tweezers here. It would help. Go. Seems about right. And then what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of my foam safe CA to the proceedings. So it's just going to put my little spout on, and then Hopefully come through, and then apply just a little to that area, and that should keep it nice and tight forever. Right. Well, apart from trimming off the excess there, which I will do once I've got my new fresh blade on my knife, that's the two stages that I wanted to go through, gone through. So thank you very much for watching this particular episode of the build. In the next section, we shall be going through. Let's have a look. Oh, some more detail. So we will be attaching the front of the hump on the camel, and we have the rest of the machine guns to actually put together, and the spent ammo chute as well. So lots of little details. So obviously we need plenty of light and plenty of tweezer action. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you in the next episode. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.